Drum roll. All right, let's try to get this. Good morning. Afreidach and Heitevis. We're holding in Torah, Parshas Vigash, page 86. And when we started, in the beginning of this week's Parsha, Yeuda confronts Yosef, Vigash el Yeuda Vayemer, and he says, Bi Adoni, please my master, take me in the place of Binyamin. The Alter Rebbe brought a pasuk, Koros Botenu Arozim, that in regards to the Mishkan, it says the beams of the Mishkan were wood, and he explained the difference between the material that was used in the Beis HaMikdash and the material that was used in the Mishkan. That in the Mishkan, the primary material was wood, and just parts of the base of the Mishkan were avonim and ofar. However, in the Mishkan, it was the exact opposite. The primary material that was used was stones and dust. And we need to understand, Beruchnius, why was this? So he explained that in every single world, you have 4 levels. Daimim, Tzemeach, Chai, Medaber. Now, even though when we look in Seder Yishtalshlus, Daimim is the lowest, but in the source, Daimim is really the highest. So in the Mishkan, which wasn't the Tachlis HaShleimus, everything ran with Seder Yishtalshlus, Daimim is the lowest. So therefore, we started off, obviously, Medaber, there was no material to make from Medaber, but when it came to Tzemeach Chai, to Chai, Tzemeach, and Daimim, the Chai was the oiros, was the skins, the hides that covered the Mishkan. And then you had the primary material was from Tzemeach, and only a little bit was Daimim, because that was Seder Yishtalshlus. In the Beis HaMikdash, since the Beis HaMikdash was the ultimate revelation, and over there was like Me'en Elam Haba, which over there we see the source, and the source, Daimim, is higher. And therefore, that's why Daimim was primarily used in the Beis HaMikdash. And then we explained, the last thing we said, and this is what it means, Eishes Chayla Teres Bailo, that Malchus is going to make a ascend in Atzilus. Why? Because Malchus, the source of Malchus, is really higher. That's where we left off the other day. So we're holding page 86, the second paragraph, Vihine. The line starts with Hakaduma. We're holding the 5th to last word, Lachain. So he says like this, Lachain, therefore, Af Beis HaMikdash, Shehoya Me'in Elam Haba, Nasa Ikar Habayis, Ma'avonim Va'over Shehem Dim. Therefore, in the Beis HaMikdash, which resembled the times of Mashiach, so the primary building material used were stones and dirt, which was formed from Daimim. Shafagag v'amaziva shebibchinas hamakiv nasim avonim v'ofer v'leim marozim. Even the roof and the ceilings of the Beis HaMikdash were made from ofer and not from wood. Shehu kefi Mashiach l'asulavi. And this reflects how it's going to be when Mashiach comes. Shebibchinas eretz kodma. As we said that even though B'Seder Yishtalshlus, Shamayim comes before Oretz, but in Machshava, Oretz comes before Shamayim. So, the level of Eretz is going to come before Kodma. That this virtuous woman is the crown of her husband. Why? How could the woman add to her husband if she's lower? Is because she has a certain loftiness in her source that she could be able to even add to her what her husband can't do. And that's the idea of the physical example of childbirth. That only through the woman she could bring the child. Rak, he says, Rak, shekloinses shel eretz shehoya ba'tikra heim b'chinas tamchen levad leikar hatikra nasa b'chinas demim. The wooden beams, which were in the ceilings, which were only used as a support, but the main material of the ceiling was made from daimim. Uke'inyan, this is the same idea as tamchen deiraisa, people who support Torah. the people who support financially, who support the Torah scholars, so even though they don't learn Torah themselves, or they don't have the time to learn as much as they want to, they're helping the structural integrity of the person learning the Torah. So that's the idea of the support beams. The arazim, the kleinses that were wood in the Beis Hamikdash, they were like the support, like the tamchen deiraisa who support the actual Torah. So he says like this: V'hinei nida ba'alil gam came b'china zu. We can see clearly that there is a great advantage in this level, in the level of daimim. Shesh ba'aretz maila yiseda, that the land has, Oretz has a certain maila, u'pchinas habitul sheyesh ba. What's the maila of land over, let's say, vegetation? The land is batal, it's nullified. When you tread on the land, on earth, it doesn't say anything to you. It's batal, it lets you tread on it. It doesn't push back. It says in Ayem Yayim that when Mashiach comes, the stone is going to tell you that nish gelernt, nish gedavent. But now in this world, when you step on the earth, there's no pushback. There's no. It lets you do what you want. She midras tachas kapis ragli hakel. Lets you the ground. It lets you tread on everything. However, when it comes to the vegetation, shigdilim begoyva v'isnasus. The vegetation grows and like it exalts itself. When you step on plants, it damages. Why does it damage? So simply, okay, you're actually stepping on something. You hurt it, you damage it. What he's saying is that in the source, since daimim, the ground is daimim, and daimim is it's bottle, so it lets you tread on it. It doesn't get suruded, doesn't get hurt, it doesn't get damaged. The tzemeach, because it has a little bit ego, it takes it personal. So now you what's the lashon? You hurt my feathers. Yeah, interesting. Now he says ubitol zanimshach mitzad shorsha hanayla b'machshava. This bittul is derived from the lofty source of the daimim. Comes from the level of machshava. Machshava hibchinas. If you take the word machshava, thought, it's choshev ma, which means choshev. It's considered ma like nothing. Shu tachlas habittul. It shows on like on the ultimate level of selflessness. Moshe Rabbeinu says on himself, "V'nachnu ma, what are we?" So Moshe Rabbeinu, we know, he came from the level of the machshava, the Eibishter, which was bittul. And from there, the source of machshava, of the Eibishter, is drawn down and becomes expressed in the selflessness of the world, of the earth. Now, because the level of malchus, earth, is higher in the source, that's why when Mashiach comes, it will be elevated in the level of Ateres Baila, the crown of her husband, which, like we said, Zah is the husband, Malchus is the lady, and even though now Zah is must be in Malchus is lower, but when Mashiach comes, Malchus is going to be higher than Zah. That's why Dafka in the Beis Hamikdash, it was made out of stones. Let's skip the paragraph, the parentheses, I'm sorry. Mishkan, however, in the Mishkan, the Ashav, the Mishkan was formed in a way of Seder Yishtalshalos, that in Seder Yishtalshalos, Tzemeach, vegetation, is higher than inanimate. Shamayim Kadmu, the earth came before others. That's why the walls were made from cedar wood, and the offer was made out of karka. Fine. So with this, he's going to explain now that we explained the difference between Zah and Malchus, he's going to explain beautifully what Beruchnius, what the confrontation of Yehuda was to Yosef. Yigash Elav Yehuda. Yehuda came to him and confronted him. Baruchnius, there was something spiritually going on between Yosef and Yehuda. So he says like this. V'hinei zehu gamkin inyin Yosef Yehuda. This is the idea of Yosef and Yehuda. Shu gamkin b'chinas umadregas shamayim va'aretz. That Yosef and Yehuda resemble the shamayim and the aretz, ub'chinas doimim tzemeach v'doimim, and the levels of tzemeach and doimim. What does that mean? Ki Yosef lashon teisefes v'ribui. Yosef, what does Yosef mean? To add. What does it mean to add? Yosef is increasing. Shemitoisef v'hoilech b'hagdala l'mayla. That increases and grows in greatness. Hu'inim b'chinas tzemeach. And that's the idea of plant, of growing. Especially, what type of planting are we talking about? We're talking about the planting of cedar wood, which we know cedars, they grow very, very tall. As it says, Tzadik katamar yifrach, the righteous flourishes like a palm. Ke'erez balvonan yiska, as a cedar in Lebanon, he grows tall. So what's the idea of Yosef Baruchni is? That's the idea of Tzemeach. Yosef is the idea of growing, adding, increasing. Let's just skip the parentheses. Yehuda ubchinas eretz. And Yehuda is the level of eretz, which is malchus datzilus. Shu ubchinas hademim datzilus. And Yehuda is the level of daimim. Therefore, Yehuda is lashon hayda. Yehuda is the level of hayda, which means like acceptance. Bittul. Sha'adaimim yesh b'chinas habittul b'yesher. That daimim has bittul more than tzemeach. So Vayigash Elav Yehuda, why is Yehuda going to Yosef? Because Yehuda is the level of malchus, and the level of malchus needs Yehuda needs Yosef to operate. He says like this: when we look in Seder Ishtalshlus at the present era, Yosef will l'maylam Yehuda. Yosef is higher than Yehuda. Why? Because Malchus receives its vitality from the level of Zah. Therefore Yosef was the king in Mitzrayim, which is the level of Tzemeach, in a way of growing and elevation. He was the sustainer of everybody. Now, Yehuda, who are Makabel? Yehuda is the Makabel. And this is what it means. Yehuda approached Yosef and said, please, Adoni, my master. What do you mean, be Adoni? So he says, Pirish, that the level of Yosef HaTzadik should flow to Yehuda. So what he meant to say is, Vayigash Elav Yehuda, Malchus came to Yosef and said, be Adoni, you Yosef Zah, go into Malchus, go into me. Like it says in Zayar, the Vayigash means Tikrefta Alma Ba'alma. It says in Zayar that, what does it mean? That Yehuda approached means that one spiritual world became connected to another spiritual world. Which means Tikrefta Alma Ba'alma. One spiritual world came connected to another spiritual world. What does that mean? That the level of Zah now becomes connected to Malchus. He says, "V'hainu al motato, b'chinas Malchus misyachedes v'nigeshes legabi alma ilo b'chinas Zah lekabel hashefa." That the lower realm, the level of Malchus, reaches and unites to the higher realm, the level of Zah, to receive its flow of Hashem's light. This procedure corresponds the way it was done in the Mishkan. That what? Hatzemeach l'mayla ma'adem kanal. That Tzemeach is higher than Daimim. Zokter, Aval Lava, Yisala Yehuda Liyas L'mayla B'chinas Yosef. When Mashiach comes, Yehuda is going to be higher than Yosef. Mashikosov, as it says, Eishes Chayla Teres Baila. This virtuous woman is the crown of her husband. A crown is higher than than the person. Why? Because since Yehuda comes from the level of machshava, and machshava we know in source is higher than Maisa. So therefore, when Mashiach comes, Yehuda is going to be higher than Yosef. What do we say machshava is? It's the ultimate level of chachma vatzilus, which has the ultimate level of bittul. She says, V'hinei, we're holding Mem Dalid, the third paragraph. The line starts with ma, the last word, V'hinei. V'hinei, he says, behold, Abba Yosad Barta. The Zohar says that Abba, which means the father, whenever it says Abba, usually in Chassidus, it means the level of Chachma. So Abba, the father, which means Chachma, Yosad Barta, is the founder, it's the source of Barta. What is Barata? Barata refers to daughter. So Abba, Chachma, is the founder, is the source, it's the daughter referring to Malchus. So what does it mean that Chachma, what does it mean that Chachma is the founder of Malchus? So he says like this, the higher level of Chachma, which is the Chachma Batzilus, that is the higher level of Yirei, the Av Hashem. The Chachma Tata, she Malchus, Yirei Tata. And Chachma Tata, the lower level of Chachma, that is, which is Malchus, that is the lower level of law. So you have something called Yirei Ilah, which is the higher level of Yirah, and Yirei Tata, the lower level of Yirah. And this is what it means in Zohar that Chachma founded Malchus. That from the level of Chachma, which is the level of Yirah, Ilah, it goes to where? Into Malchus, Yirei Tata. Therefore, Malchus, which will be compared to the woman, is the crown of her husband. Because the bittul of the bittul is higher than the emotions of love and awe of Hashem, which are derived from chesed and gura of zah. He says, now the earth, which we said the earth is Malchus, this possesses the superior quality of bittul. This level of Yirei Ilah is the level of Moshe Rabbeinu. Fine. Now that we explained that the level of Yosef is Zah, the level of Shemiah, the level of Yehuda is bittul, and nowadays, or before Mashiach comes, Zah needs to go to Malchus. And that's why Yehuda needed to come to Yosef. However, when Mashiach comes, Yehuda, which is the level of Machshava, the level of Bittul, that's going to be, since the source of Bittul is higher than Zah, the source of Malchus is higher, that's why Yehuda is going to be higher than Yosef. And he says, 10 minutes? 5 minutes? 7 minutes. Okay. So let's struck. So, this is what we say in the Haftarah in Parshas Vayigash. The Haftarah is from Yecheskel. And the Haftarah says that the Rabbi Hashem told Yecheskel, Kach lecha echad uksev elav Yehuda, lekach eitz erez uksev elav Yosef eitz Ephraim, v'karav Yosef echad echad. Hashem told Yecheskel, take for yourself one stick and write on it for Yehuda and the children of Yidden, the children of Israel. Take another stick and write on it for Yosef, the stick of Ephraim. And what should you do? You bring them together. Connect Yosef and Yehuda together. So he says, I will place them with, see now that I will take the staff of Yosef, I will place them with the staff of Yehuda, and my servant David shall be the king over them. And there's going to be one shepherd. When David HaMelech came, there's going to be one shepherd over Klal Yisrael. Pirush, what does that mean? Now Yosef is higher than Yehuda. Shehu nimshal le'eretz asher gadol b'gevim b'teis v'hilach. He is compared to a cedar tree which continuously grows tall. Kach Yesav, so to Yesav, a love sheyachim aser shvatim. Yesav, who ruled over the 10 shvatim, k'machikasav sham v'shifti Yisrael chavedav, and the tribes of Yisrael, his allies. Nimsa shemuru b'shvatim Yesav Yehuda. So it comes out that now Yesav is more tribes than Yehuda. Shal Shem zenikra Yesav, and this is why he's called Yesav, increase, because Yesav, who was we know the Malchus split, Yesav and Yehuda. Yesav ruled over 10 of the tribes, because Yesav is the idea of increase. Kihu adas elyon, he's the level of das elyon. When Mashiach comes, and the two levels will be joined completely. There's going to be a complete achdus between Yosef and Yehuda, as it says, each one will come together with the other one. This will be when Mashiach comes. Yehuda will be higher than Yosef. That's why my servant David will be a king. I'll call Yisrael over the entire Yidden. This is what it means. This is what it means that Yosef was not able to contain himself. Right. This is what it means that Yosef was not able to contain himself, and he broke out. Which means that the physical reunion represents the spiritual union of Yosef and Yehuda, which is the level of Zah and Malchus. They become completely joined and united. To become one another. Now, Ubikola now is Hagoyes of the Tzemach Tzedek, so we'll leave it out now. We also don't have the time really. But basically, just Bekitza the Maisa. Beruchnius, what does it mean? Vayigash Elev Yehuda Vayimer Bi'adaini. What Yehuda was saying is, I'm the level of Malchus. Yosef, you're the level of Zah. The way the Eibishter set things up, you're the Mashpia, I'm the Makabel. So I need you, Zah, to come Bi'adaini, to come into me of Malchus. And that's why Yosef, which Yehuda is the level of Haidah, had to come onto Yosef. But when Mashiach comes, the level of Yehuda is going to be higher than the level of Yosef, and that's why the Navi says that Yecheskel was commanded to take the eights of Yehuda and take the eights of Yosef and bring them together. And what does it say? Avdi David, Melech Avdi, that David, like you said, it comes from Yehuda, is going to be the ultimate king, because the ultimate level of Bittul, the source of Bittul, the source of Malchus, is going to be revealed when Mashiach comes. The idea of Eishes Chayil, Ateres Bailam. Okay? Shkoyach.